Imagine you're standing in a cave. It's cold, it's dark, except for one shaking torch, and in front of you is the body of someone you loved. You have no shovel, no coffin, no priest, no internet telling you what's normal, just you, a body, and a decision that no one has ever made before you. Do you walk away? Do you leave them for the wolves? Or do you do something strange, something with no survival benefit at all, and dig? That question sounds simple. It is not. Because burying the dead doesn't make food. It doesn't make shelter. It doesn't help you outrun a predator tomorrow morning. In pure survival terms, it's a waste of energy. And yet we did it. Anyway. So the real question isn't, why did ancient humans bury their dead? The real question is, why did a species obsessed with survival start spending precious time and energy on something that helped no one who was still alive? Stick with me. The answer goes somewhere you don't expect. Let's go back, way back. Around 100,000 years ago, at a site called Qafzeh Cave in what's now Israel, archaeologists found something strange, a body, curled in a deliberate position, surrounded by red ochre pigment and deer antlers placed by hand. That's not an accident. That's a choice. But here's the thing. This wasn't a one-off. Similar burials show up in different regions, different time periods, different groups of early humans who never met each other, which means something was happening independently again and again across our species. Now we have to talk about Neanderthals, because for decades, scientists assumed only modern humans buried their dead. Then came Shanidar Cave in Iraq, a Neanderthal skeleton found with traces of pollen clustered around the body, sparking a now famous and still debated theory that flowers were placed there on purpose. Let that sink in for a second. A different species of human. Possibly mourning, possibly grieving, long before we showed up. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of the earliest burials weren't just put the body in a hole, they were elaborate. Bodies painted in ochre, jewelry made from shells, tools buried alongside the dead, tools the person would never use again. Think about that. Early humans were burying useful resources on purpose with someone who could no longer benefit from them. That is not nothing. It tells us something burial sites don't usually get credit for, that early humans weren't just disposing of a body, they were performing a ritual, and rituals only exist for one reason, to mean something to the people still alive. Now you might be thinking, maybe this was just about hygiene. Maybe burying the dead was about keeping disease and predators away from camp. That's a legitimate concern. But here's where it gets complicated. If it was only about hygiene, you wouldn't need flowers. You wouldn't need ochre. You wouldn't need to angle the body in a sleeping position facing east, like several sites show. Hygiene doesn't require symbolism. And almost every early burial we found has symbolism baked into it. So something else was going on, something more human than sanitation. Here's the layer most documentaries skip. Burial isn't really about the dead, it's about the living. It's the first physical evidence we have of a species that could imagine a future without someone in it, and chose to mark that loss instead of ignoring it. This isn't just about ancient humans. It's about something older than that. It's about the exact moment our species developed the ability to feel that an individual mattered, not just for what they contributed, but for who they were. That's not biology. That's grief, and grief, as far as we know, is one of the oldest human inventions we have. Here's what this means for you practically. Every funeral you've ever been to, every grave you've ever visited, every time you've kept something small that belonged to someone you lost, a photo, a sweater, a voicemail you can't bring yourself to delete, you're doing exactly what someone did 100,000 years ago in a cave with no language for what they were feeling. We didn't invent grief. We inherited it. And every time you mark a loss instead of walking past it, you're proving that the instinct never left. It just changed shape. So go back to that cave, that torch, that body in front of you, and the decision waiting at your feet. You dig. Not because it helps you survive the night, but because some part of you, some ancient, unteachable part, refuses to let them disappear without a mark. That's not a burial. That's the first time a human ever said, "You mattered," and we never stopped saying it.